Hello guys, welcome to Solving Solutions, your number one channel where you get solutions to all your solving problems. It's nice having you in class again today. How have you been? We are going to do something very interesting today. We want to show you how you can locate the different FIFA World Cup stadiums in Qatar using Google Earth, and also to determine the distances between the different stadiums and the international airports within that country, right? Good. So it's actually going to be interesting. The World Cup is just around the corner, and the world is just moving to Qatar for this should I call it breathtaking event, because it's actually one of a kind. They are hosting it for the first time, and they are doing it for the very first time, doing so many things for the first time. We have stadiums that were just built for this particular World Cup, which will likely be dismantled. So it's actually something very interesting that the world will see in a couple of days, because it starts November, right? So we are going to show you how you can use GIS to locate different World Cup stadiums, and by extension, we are also going to show you how you can determine the distances between international airports and different stadiums, because maybe you just flew into Qatar and you want to see one of the matches, or maybe you just want to see all of the matches, or whatever the case is, and you want to know the distances and some other stuff. So the applications can come in as you want them. We, however, want to show you how you can achieve that. So thanks for coming to class. If you're coming to the channel for the first time, you can encourage us by subscribing. And if you are a returning viewer, thanks for always checking up with us. So we have our key, we have our guide, let's say legend we are going to use. We are going to locate the different FIFA World Cup stadiums in Qatar using Google Earth. We are also going to locate the international airport at Doha, right? Good, using Google Earth. Then we import the saved KMZ or KML file to QGIS. Then export the KMZ file as a CSV to Geocode. Now, one thing is that one would have asked, are we not seeing it on Google Earth already? Yeah, we are seeing it on Google Earth. That's why I said the application can come differently. We have actually located the search was this was the search Qatar World Cup Stadium, right? And then these were the results. We have the stadium 974, is it Thumama, we have the Khalifa, we have the Wakrah, we have the Qatar University Stadium, we have the Bayt, we have the Haraman, we have the Khor, we have the FIFA World Cup fan zone, we have the Janoub, right? Good. And even the main stadium, which is like the light of the tournament, I can't find it here presently. So the essence of doing all of this is for you to be able to see. We have like 8 stadiums, right? Good. The Lusail Stadium is even the heart of the, should I call it, the tournament, but that's where the final will be hosted, right? Good. So the Lusail Stadium, which is the heart of the tournament, let's say we didn't find it in this particular search result. You might find it, but you can see that it was not here in this particular search result. So the essence of trying to locate it on Google Earth is for us to be able to locate all of those stadiums and add those ones that are not there, then remove those ones that are not supposed to be there, right? Good. So because if you look very closely, there's a particular stadium we saw, which is the Qatar University Stadium. We don't need it. So the essence of coming to Google Earth, we can't overemphasize it, is for us to be able to sort our data. So we have a particular folder which we save. So as you can see, there is copy the current selection, the current search results to my places, right? So when you click on it, it takes it down to your places as a folder. Then you can now save this particular folder as a place, right? So you just right click on the folder, but before you right click on the folder, you ensure that the content of the folder is okay by you, right? So let's say there is a particular stadium you're looking for which you have not found. You can still come to the search bar, you type the stadium, and Google Earth will navigate you to the particular location. Then you just you drag and you drop, right? Or let's say you right click and then you add it to your places, right? Good. So with that, you now have a folder of all of your locations, a folder of all of your points. Then you can now export, or let's say take out that folder from Google Earth, which is exactly what we are trying to explain on this our key here. Import the saved KMZ file to QGIS by exporting from Google Earth, right? Good. So upon doing that, we now have, or let's say we'll now have all of these are points on QGIS. So now let's go to QGIS and then import that KMZ file. Good. So we are actually on QGIS now, and the next thing we want to do is to bring in that KMZ file by going to add layer and then add vector layer, right? Good. You go to layer, you go to add layer, then you go to add vector layer. So we have the data source manager for vector being displayed. So we browse through the PC. All right, we have a folder we are working on. We have a points to image, and then we have where is the KMZ file we are looking for. Good. We have the Qatar 2022 World Cup stadiums, right? So we just open. Good. So select all layer, add layers, and then you can close. Good. So we have what are different layers on QGIS, right? Good. So just try and zoom to layer. Now we have two base maps. We have the OSM and the binge map to help us validate, or let's say, should I call it geolocate, to help us validate our data. We have the different World Cup stadiums here, which you can find under the attribute table of that particular layer, right? Good. So we have what 8 stadiums, and you can see their names. Sorry, we are going to delete all of these other columns we don't need. Yeah, we are going to delete them off when we are exporting, right? Good. Then we also have what the international airport here. So we just right click and then we open attribute table. Then you can see, good, you can see the Ahmad International Airport, right? So we are still going to remove all of these, right? Good. So upon importing our two, should I call it the two layers? Yeah, because we need it as the stadium or the stadiums and the international airport, because those are the two basic layers we need. So what we are now going to do is that we just right click on the layer, we go to what? We go to export and we click on what? Save features as, right? Good. Under the save vector layer as, we have what? CSV. Now the reason why we want that CSV is for us to be able to list the names of the stadiums in a particular column, right? So that we can be able to geocode them. That means attaching their coordinates to them, right? Their lat and long. So we give it a file name, and then the CRS is WGSM84, right? Good. So for you to give the file name, you click on browse. Then you navigate to any location we've actually moved to the folder we are working on, and then you just give it a name and you export it to that folder, right? Good. So we've actually done that. All we are now going to do is to bring in that CSV file which already has the coordinates attached to it. So there is a link to a particular video in the description section where you can see how to geocode what your address is. These particular stadiums are not too difficult for the awesome tables to help us geocode, right? Good. So we use them Google Sheets awesome table for the geocoding. Then we are going to now import the CSV to QGIS, right? So the same drill, you go to layer, you go to add layer, you go to delimited text layer, right? Good. Then you navigate to the folder where you can find it. So we have Qatar 2022 World Cup stadiums with their coordinates, right? Good. So we have the lat long as our longitude as our X, the latitude as our Y, right? Good. And then our CRS is very, very important. We have it as WGS64. So we can just add and close. So we have the points added, and you can see it under open attribute table. Good. You can see the names. We have actually sieved those names off. We have the capacity of the different stadium. We have their longitude, we have their latitude, and then we have the base latitude and then the base longitude, right? Good. We are going to show you what each of these mean by these two columns, the base latitude and the base longitude, right? So these this table represents what we are going to use to determine the distance between each of these stadiums and the international airport, right? Good. So we have been able to achieve that. The next thing we are now going to do, according to our key or our guide, is for us to now install install or launch a particular plugin called Shape Tools, right? Good. So for us to be able to do that, you come to plugin and you go to manage and install plugins, right? Good. We have the plugins tab up, and we have we are trying to look for Shape Tools, right? Good. Is it? No, not this. We are trying to look for Shape Tools. Good. So this is it. Now, what does Shape Tools do? It's a collection of geodesic shape tools, shapes and tools, right? Creates ellipse, line of bearing, points along a line of bearing, pi wedge, and some other stuff. So these are the stuff this particular plugin can do. So we are going to use this particular plugin to now help us determine the length between distance between these different points, right? Good. So we have this plugin installed. If you don't have it installed, you can actually install it from here, right? So we just close that. Good. So for us to be able to access it, you come towards the processing toolbox. We've actually merged the processing toolbox and our layers together because of the screen size. So you can either go to processing, you would see what's your toolbox here, right? Good. So the same toolbox we have here, and we have what our shape tools here, right? Good. So under these shape tools, we can see all of the other features we need, right? Good. However, what we need is just what XY to lines, right? So instead of maybe trying to expand all of these other compressed features under shape tools, we can just come under the search icon and then type what XY. Just type XY to lines, right? And it will sieve it out for us, right? Good. And that's under shape tools, vector geometry, and what XY to lines. So you just click on that. Good. Now, what does the XY to line do? What does it do? It creates geodesic, creates circle, as we've actually read earlier. Now, the first thing is that, let's go back to the layer view. The first thing is that we have our input layer as what the Qatar World Cup with their coordinates, right? Good. Then the CRS is actually the object84, and then the line type, we are creating a geodesic. Maybe if the line is very, very long, because every other stuff it should cover for that. Good. Now, this is where those different columns come in. Remember, we had a column for the longitude, the latitude, and we have that of the base latitude and the base longitude, right? Now, for the starting field, we are going to use what the longitude of each of the stadium, right? Good. So that's what the longitude and the latitude means, right? Then for the ending, we are now going to use what the base, and by base we mean the latitude and longitude of the airport. Remember that we are trying to determine the distance between a particular point to different points, right? The international airport at Doha to the different stadiums, right? The different World Cup stadiums, right? Good. So we want to know the distance from the airport to those different stadiums, right? Good. So that's why we are using the coordinate of the airport as our base coordinate, because that's like the place every other, that's the point all other points are going to terminate on, right? Good. So we have the starting X and Y fields as the X and Y fields for the different airports, and then we have the ending, or let's say, the ending X and Y field as the X and Y field for the base, which is actually the same as what the international airport. So let's just run it. When we have our scratch layer, we can save our scratch layer as any other stuff we want to. So we just click on run. Good. So as you can see, it's finished, right? So we can just close, and you will see new folder has been, a new layer rather has been created, right? Good. So let's put up some of these other layers so that it will be more visible for us to see. Good. So let's leave this and let's put this off. Now you can see a new layer created that shows a line, right? So let's try to modify that layer. Good. So it's better off like this, right? Good. So we have the output line layer, right? Good. That shows us the length, or let's say the distances, right? Good. That shows us the line of the distance. So this shows that we have a base here, which is what the international airport. So let's try to label this other layer, right? So that we can see the names of the different features we have, right? So let's modify the properties. Good. So we have what the different stadiums that we have for the FIFA World Cup being labeled, right? Good. So we can now come, if you just try to close the label. Good. So since we've seen this particular output line layer, what we are now going to do is that we are now going to label the attributes of this particular line, because we don't know how long this line is, we don't know how long this line is, we don't know the length of these lines. We only know that there are points that there are 2 points that are joined by a line, right? Good. So we still come towards our processing toolbox, and then we search for a particular tool called add geometry attributes, right? Good, add geometry attributes. Now, where do you find that? You find that under vector geometry, right? Good. So you are going to see that under vector geometry, which you can see on this, or let's say you can see here on our drop down. So the tool is called add vector geometry. Now, this algorithm computes geometric properties of the features in a vector layer. It generates a new vector layer with the same content as the input one, but with an additional attribute in its attributes table containing geometric measurements, and that's what we need. Now, the input we need for this particular video is what is output line layer, which was what gotten from the first plugin, right? Good. So with that will be our input. Then the calculate using let's use ellipsoid, right? Good. So we just what run and close, right? Good. Now we have a new layer that is given the name added geometry info, right? So you just right click and then you open the attribute table. You see that it's almost same as the other one. However, you now have you have 3 additional columns for your length, your straight distance, and then what your sinuosity, right? These are the lengths from each of the points to this particular base coordinate, which is actually the coordinate of the international airport. Are we together? Which is actually the coordinate of the international airport, right? Good. So what we are now going to do is that these lengths are actually long. However, we want to display these our lengths in nautical miles, right? Good. We want to display these our lengths in nautical miles. So we are going to create a new column, and then we are going to give it the name create new field, right? Good. So we say length, or should we call it distance in nautical miles, right? Good. We have distance in nautical miles. It's actually decimal. Then this should be, let's make it 4 with a precision of 3, right? Good. So we have a new field called distance in nautical miles, right? Good. So we just can save that. Then we come to our field calculator, open field calculator, right? Good. So we want our field calculator to help us determine the distances, or to convert the distances, as you can see here under this particular length column, to nautical miles, right? So we are updating an existing field. So we just click on this and then we come to distance in nautical miles, right? Good. What we are trying to do now is that we are trying to convert the length to nautical miles, and there is a constant for conversion, just like we have that of meters to kilometers. We have that of area in square meters to area in square meters to the square kilometers or hectares or acres, right? Good. So we go to geometry and then we try to look out for the length, $ length, right? Good. So that should be this, and we double click on it. Now returns the length of a line string. If you need the length of a border or of a polygon, use a perimeter instead, right? So we are trying to get the length, and then we are trying to divide the values of those lengths by a constant of 1852, right? So that converts the length in meters to nautical miles, right? So with this particular expression on our expression builder, we can just click on OK, and our new field will be populated with all of our lengths in nautical miles, and we can now see how close and how far in this particular unit of length, or let's say particular unit of distance, to our base location, which is the international airport, right? Good. So we now know that we can just save this. We now know that we have a distance of 3.08, or let's say 3.087 nautical miles from Stadium 974 to the airport, and I think the farthest is the Bayt, and the closest is the Stadium 974, right? We are going to visualize it, and you will see that very soon. The farthest is Bayt, and then the closest is the Stadium 974. So now let's come back to our QGIS. We can just stop this editing. Then we come to layer, and then we try to label it with that new field we have, right? So we come to single labels, and instead of using name, we are going to use distance in nautical miles, right? Good. Then the text, let's use Times New Roman. Let's make it bold and italicized. Then the color, let's change it to blue, right? So I can just apply and say okay. So you now see the different distances, or let's say you now see different distances displayed on the lines, right? Good. And this indicates, or this shows the distance from each of those it shows the distance from each of those stadium towards to the international airport, right? Each of those stadium to the international airport. This is similar to, let's reduce it. Go to properties. Good. So we now have what the different stadium for the 2022 FIFA World Cup at Qatar, and we know their distances towards to the international airport, right? Good. So let's close a particular. Let's close this and close this. Okay, let's leave this open. Let's close this. Right. Good. So let's leave it like this, and we can just decide to zoom in to some of the features, right? Good. You can see this is actually what the Ahmad International Airport, right? Good. So that's the airport. That's the originating point where we are trying to move all of our points from, right? Good. To the different stadium. So this is our byte, which according to the distance we calculated is the farthest from what from the airport, right? Good. So this is one of the stadium, right? Good. So we have it here as our byte. Good. You can see our Bayt Stadium, right? Good. So this is the other stadium. So with this, we believe we've been able to show you how you can use GIS to actually locate the different stadiums for the 2022 FIFA World Cup, and also determine their distances apart, right? Good. So it can help in your movement, how you locate them, your flights, and some other stuff which you would find very, very handy, right? Good. This is Stadium 974. It's almost very close, very close to the airport, right? Good. And then we have the Byte, which is the farthest from the airport, right? Let's open this. Good. So you can see their length being displayed on the distance being displayed on the line. This is about 3.087 nautical miles, and then we have about 24.387 nautical miles from the airport, right, to the stadium. And Lusail is actually the seat of the airport, because that's where we play. Yeah, we play. That's where we play most of the matches in this particular World Cup. So we now we have labeled the distance with nautical miles. Now you can see how far apart each of the stadium is from the international airport. So thanks for watching. May the best team win. We believe that we have been able to show you how you can use GIS to locate the different stadiums of the 2022 FIFA World Cup and their distances apart. If you have any tasks like this and you want us to join in the project or stuff like that, you can always contact us. You can see our mail on the screen. Just send us a mail and we are going to get back to you as soon as possible. So we are going to see you on the next video. Until then, keep preparing for the World Cup, keep staying safe, and have a very good time. Bye.